You're listening to Image for Hire, broadcasting on WXRW LP Milwaukee. River West Radio is celebrating its second anniversary with a music marathon. Please join us as we broadcast live from the Jazz Gallery from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Saturday, January 6th. The $5 suggested donation will help pay for our music licensing fees for 2018. The Jazz Gallery is located at 926 East Center Street. Go to riverwestradio.com for more information. I'm the Skrauss. I'm your image concierge for hire, taking you to your higher self through image, imagination, imago Dei, and as we draw nearer to the higher self, we exert our will upon reality for a brighter future where our hearts are like pulsars, firing coded beacons into the night. And let's begin with an invocation to Hermes. My first episode, we banished boring. We need to fill that hole with something. Let's fill it with the trickster god. Everybody, get in the Zen position. Light the incense. I call to thee, messenger of the blessed gods, more nimble than wind, faster than Zeus's lightning. Angel Oceantian, come on winged foot, god of swift feet and messengers. I call to the clear-sighted one, the clear-headed schemer, the author of many cunning plans. Come to me by paths that wind like the writhing belly of a snake. God of snakes, and those who speak with forked tongue, for I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. I call to you who guides the feet of the psyche through doors celestial and chthonic into temptation or away from evil, in life as well as in death, waking and sleeping. Psychopompus, for though the way to the underworld is obscure to me, and though I cannot walk from dream to dream, no path is hidden from you. Hermes. And speaking of Hermes, the trickster, the two-faced god, multivalent, my guest today is a man who was born a nerd and became a man. His name is David Radich. How's it going, Rad? How is Saipan, you tropical nut?
Well, I'm sitting here wearing flip-flops and shorts, drinking an iced tea, smoking an acid Blue Connecticut crushed classic cigar.
Excellent. You're living the dream.
84-degree weather.
Yeah, well, that sounds wonderful. But
I'm about 20 feet from the ocean. It's nice.
You could spit from where you're sitting. You could throw your cigarette butt into the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then what's really cool is where I'm sitting is where the Marines landed back in World War II.
The Marines landed on Saipan right where you're sitting?
Exactly right where I'm sitting.
X marks the spot.
Ironically, the restaurant I'm sitting at is owned by a Japanese company. So,
well, that is irony.
I don't know how that fits into things, but yeah.
That's great. Before we went on the air, you were telling me you had an invocation of your own you wanted to share. Please do that.
Oh yeah, since we're going all pagan, I figured I would say a benediction to the god Crom from Conan the Barbarian. I guess the god of Schwarzeneggers.
The god of Schwarzeneggers, yes.
I will follow in the footsteps of the great Arnold.
Okay.
And say, Crom, I've never played to you before, but please grant me this successful interview. And if not, then to hell with you anyway.
I think it'll work. I think he will or will not.
Yeah. Anyway, so just was thinking about that movie for some reason. Good film.
That's just been on your mind lately? Conan?
No, I was just thinking about some philosophy, like basically what is best in life, to crush your enemies, to drive them before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women. And I was just thinking, yeah, it's kind of harsh, but, it works.
Yeah, well, this is from a man who's living in sunny tropical paradise. Is that what it does to you,
Yeah.
Rad? It brings out the best.
It does. Well, actually, it just it's like any other place. You got to have a job, you got to work, and you got friends, you got enemies, and not too many enemies, but it's like any place else. It's just you don't freeze.
That's very nice. You're coming from Detroit. You can probably appreciate that. Tell me about your friends. Tell me about your Spetsnaz friends. But before you tell me about your Spetsnaz friends, please define Spetsnaz.
Well, okay. I go shooting with a couple of Russian guys, and one of them is a former combat naval diver, basically a Russian Navy SEAL. And Spetsnaz is like the blanket term for special forces. And interestingly enough, one of my best friends from here who moved back to the States was also a U.S. Navy SEAL. And the Spetsnaz guy sold my Navy SEAL a combat knife once. So it was pretty cool.
Wait. The Spetsnaz guys sold your baby SEAL?
Navy SEAL.
Oh.
No, I got two friends who are SEALs from this island.
And one
was a U.S. Navy SEAL. The other one's a Russian SEAL. And
do they have a rivalry?
Russian guys sold. No, but they did size each other up. And
nice.
Although the U.S. Navy SEAL he's kind of like gotten old and sort of like the Weird Al Yankovic song theme from Rocky 18. He's fat and weak. What a disgrace. Now he's whatever.
What?
Sold his eggs down the drain. Anyway,
what?
More of a Navy walrus now.
Oh, well, I didn't catch most of that. Hey, let's move on to my first question. Tell us, how did you move from being a born nerd into being a real man?
Well, a lot of pain.
It is painful, isn't it, to grow?
Well, when you get picked on as a nerd all your life, and you learn to stop valuing the opinions of others for your own self-worth, and you just basically trudge on and be your own person.
But you did more than that. I mean, you didn't embody the picked on. You didn't take that on as your identity, right? So I think it's important that you stopped caring what other people thought, because I think that's key to your success.
Well, it's just basically what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and then you just realize that when you're let's look at these things. Star Trek, for example.
Okay.
And Monday Night Football.
All right, let's analyze.
You see guys our age right now. They go out and they're wearing a block of cheese on their head and 20 below zero weather, painting their faces green.
Oh yeah, there's one right now. Right outside my window.
How is that any less nerdy than a guy who goes to a Star Trek convention when he's 12 wearing a Starfleet uniform?
I can't answer that question.
Well,
it's identical to me.
Well, it's like this. A lot of people have been inspired to become medical doctors, engineers, astronauts, to do all sorts of stuff because science fiction kind of inspired them.
Oh, sure,
and,
somebody comes up with an idea and then somebody else builds it. But how did you move on from that?
Say again?
How did you move on from that into real life?
I don't think I ever moved on from it. I mean, I still dig that kind of stuff. It's just that I've incorporated it into its proper place.
Oh, very good.
And, I mean, it's entertainment, but it's good entertainment, and you can take some value from anything.
Right.
I think also being in the military helps. Makes you grow up, and then going on and getting an education, and then getting a job.
Getting
and
a
having
job.
to pay your rent.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Paying, when the reality of the rent is due, you kind of have to put childish things aside and just realize that there are priorities.
Okay.
Plus, you got to build value.
You have to what?
You have to build value for your life. You have to take care of other people that rely on you. And you got a legacy, I guess. You have a value that you have to put in to make your life meaningful.
And what value did you put in your life to make it meaningful?
Well, I taught for 10 years.
Really? That long?
Underprivileged kids. I taught in the ghetto in Detroit at a home for abused kids, and I taught at the public school, and then currently I work as an environmental consultant, and I contribute to keeping this island I live on clean from pollution.
Oh, okay. Good call.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I'm super duper, but I'd like to think that I've done some good in my life. And I also challenged a ban on handguns so people could defend themselves against crime.
Okay, well, we'll get back to that in a second. Before we get to that, though, there was a moment in your childhood, and I'm wondering how influential it was to your growth into a real man.
A moment in my childhood.
Yes. Do you remember when you reached out to the monolith and gave your life over to the monolith? Do you remember this moment? You told me about it many times on the fantail of the USS Vandegrift.
Really, I did. It's odd. I can't really remember. Tell me your memory of that, because I'm trying to remember.
Well, there was a black door in your bedroom, and one night you just reached out to it like Dave Bowman.
Oh, yeah. I guess maybe I was just looking for answers. I don't really remember. I mean,
really?
To be completely honest,
yeah.
I kind of.
You blocked it out.
I don't really. I'm not really fond of my childhood.
Oh, I see. Really?
I'm enjoying. Well, here's the thing. I'm enjoying my 40s a heck of a lot more than I enjoyed my 30s. I enjoyed my 30s a lot more than I enjoyed my 20s. And I definitely enjoyed my 20s a hell of a lot better than I enjoyed my teens. In fact, my worst day in the Navy was better than my average day in high school.
Oh, wow, that's harsh. There were some hard times in the Navy.
Well, I had some rough times, but the rough times that I spent in the Navy were with actual real friends. Like, I consider you to be one of them.
Thank you.
And I would say that the challenges were much more real. The stakes were much more high.
Ah, interesting. Right. So
the lessons were more profound. And in my opinion, I just considered my time in K through 12 to be a giant waste of time. In fact, when I was working on my master's in special ed, I spent most of my time doing an autopsy of my own education, and I feel that I would have been better off homeschooled or just dropping out.
Right. I think most children would be.
Well, I just think a lot of education is just not really in the classroom. It's more life. You learn more about yourself and about the world by actually doing and living than you do sitting in a classroom. I'm not saying that you don't have to sit there and learn your ABCs, and I'm not saying that there was no value at all. I'm just saying that all the phony socialization, pep rally garbage,
right,
jock worship. I just that was the whole thing about the whole nerd thing. See, basically, what high school teaches you, at least in my experience, was to worship the jocks and to worship these pointless simulated combatants, because that's what football and basketball is. It's simulated tribal warfare. It has nothing to do with real life. Whereas, when we were in the military, we were actually engaged in real tribal warfare.
Right. You went from the simulation to the real thing. Are you all right? What's going on over there?
There's nothing wrong. I think there's some guy hammering a roof somewhere or something like that.
I see.
But, for example, the only part of my high school experience that I liked was my Navy JROTC.
Oh.
And that was because we got some actual, there was, it was kind of the same thing as being in the Navy. And then my instructor, a guy named Chief Wilfong, and when I was, failing classes and I was goofing off and I wasn't really doing well in school, he pulled me aside and instead of being like playing this liberal namby-pamby, oh, what's wrong with you? Oh, can we help you? And all that. He just said, get your head out of your butt.
Right. That's all he said. And based on his respect, you did it, or your respect for him.
Exactly. Well, it was kind of a mutual thing. It's like he's basically telling me how it was, instead of couching it in all this soft language and pop psychology.
Right. We need more of that.
And my opinion, and this is just my opinion, obviously, but I base it off of just experience. Most American K through 12 education, and it's gotten worse, they treat boys like defective girls.
They treat what?
They treat boys like defective girls.
Oh, okay, sure. Like those boys.
If you're a boy and you're anxious, what do? They throw Ritalin at you, and if you try to be a boy nowadays, because boys like playing cowboys and Indians in the army, and they'll draw a picture of a soldier with a Tommy gun, and then oh my gosh, he drew a picture of a gun. That means he's got to go out and go freak out. And
okay.
No, he's just a boy. Just because let's face it, boys like G.I. Joe.
Right. Yeah.
And so what I've noticed is like they play this. I don't know where you're at, but that's why you see the 5-year-old kid. Well, maybe not 5-year-old, but I forgot how old the kid was. But he was like in second grade or first grade. Who bit a Pop-Tart into the shape of Idaho, and they said, "Oh, it looks like a gun."
And so they punched him.
They had to call the cops on him.
What? They called the cops on a 5-year-old? Where was this? Was this Detroit?
No, I forgot where it was, but it made national news. But it was like some kid bit a Pop-Tart into like what they said was the shape of a gun. I looked at the picture on the internet, and it looked like Idaho to me. But hey.
Well, Idaho should go to jail then, because that's obscene.
Well, that's where Napoleon Dynamite lives.
Oh, really? Well, then maybe we'll let it out of jail for a little bit. I guess he redeemed a gun-shaped state with his antics.
Yeah.
So tell me, right now, you're protecting the coastlines of America's greatest World War II possession by keeping it free of trash. Does that sum up your career?
No.
Oh.
No, it's not. I don't go around picking up trash. I do hazardous waste disposal.
Okay. Right.
I do groundwater and surface water sampling and analysis.
Sure, and armaments.
I write oil. I write oil spill prevention plans.
Sure, and you take care of unexploded ordnance. I mean, that's probably your favorite part.
That's true.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I wouldn't say it's my favorite part, but it's definitely interesting. We're on Tinian, which is right next door, and Tinian's interesting. It's sort of a place makes a Boaz, Alabama look like Paris. It's like really rednecky. There's like 1,000 people over there, but it's during World War II. That's where the atomic bomb missions were flown from.
From Tinian?
Yep. And you could still go to yeah, you could still walk around where the Enola Gay was loaded up, and it was kind of cool. I had a rental car over there, and I got it up to 100 miles an hour driving down Runway Able, pretending I was Paul Tibbets.
All right, nice. Nice thing to pretend.
Yeah.
How old were you when you were doing this pretending?
46.
Oh, so in the best time of your life. Like this summer. You did that this summer.
I did that this summer. I even filmed much of it, and hopefully my friend in Detroit, Crazy Mark, has got to put it on his show.
Oh, okay, perfect. Nice.
Actually, I was on Crazy Mark TV earlier this year, where I did a tour of the old Japanese jail here on Saipan, where Amelia Earhart may have been held.
Oh yeah, tell me more about that.
Amelia Earhart supposedly was held here for several years during the war. And local legend has it she was kept at this jail. Now, this jail is haunted, I will tell you that.
You're sure about that?
Some stuff there.
What'd you find?
Well, okay, I was in there one time. There's a lot of spiritual stuff going on in these islands. It's pretty interesting. But my last supernatural encounter was at this Japanese jail. This wasn't when I was filming for Crazy Mark, although... my friend Mark, when he got the footage, said that he did hear some EVP phenomena stuff there.
EDP?
But,
wait, EDP?
Electronic
wait.
phenomena. That's like...
Go on. You were explaining EDP?
Yeah, electronic voice phenomena. That's like where you're filming in a place, and like, let's say there's a ghost or something in there.
Okay.
Sometimes people claim that you can get the voices of ghosts and spirits on film because of the electromagnetic, basically it's electromagnetic stuff. I don't understand the physics of it, but my understanding is that when you have great psychic traumas, it leaves an impression in the area you're at.
Electromagnetically. It kind of charges the magnet.
Like for example, if you hear a lot of ghost stories where the area gets really cold all of a sudden, the air cools down.
Okay.
And the hair on your arm tingles and stands up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or you get like specific feelings. Like there are places on this island where like massive craziness happened, like the Banzai Charge or Suicide Cliff, where you had thousands of Japanese civilians jump over the cliff and
seriously
being captured.
To avoid capture, the civilians committed suicide?
They would throw their own babies off the
What?
cliff and then jump after it.
What?
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
The Pacific War was horrific. I mean, and there are some people here that will live through it, and it's interesting to hear their perspective. And
I'm sure it is.
Friends actually. Well, one of my best friends was a former Navy guy. He retired after 30 years as a bosun mate third class.
Okay, wait a minute. Before you go on, a bosun mate is the oldest rate in the Navy. That's what I was. That's what Rad was. And third class means E4. So he went from seaman apprentice, seaman, and then third class. It's the equivalent of buck sergeant.
Well,
okay, go on.
He made E6 like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, but he kept getting busted. Gotcha.
Yeah, he was well. When I met him, and I hope this isn't gonna hurt any community standards. But when I first met him, is on Tinian. He was one of these old guys who basically made a lot of money. He was a tax lawyer and CPA. His most famous client was Lee Marvin, actually.
Lee Marvin?
Lee Marvin keep his money after he was sued by his common law wife.
Wait, and, Lee Marvin's an actor?
Him and Lee Marvin got into a bar fight and spent the night in the drunk tank celebrating. It was great, telling me about this. But anyways, so
right.
and Lee Marvin was shot in the buttocks here on Mount Tapachow. So
Okay.
but Mark was the guy. He drove the Higgins boat ashore.
All right, cool.
And,
Wait,
and he also
wait a minute.
served in Korea. And yeah,
The Higgins boat, that's the amphibious assault boat that drops off the soldiers?
exactly.
Okay.
So, yeah, he was there when the stool hit the fan. He was also at Tarawa. He was at Okinawa, the Philippines.
Wow.
And he was slated to go into Japan during Operation Downfall, but they canceled it. And he basically said the saddest day of his life at that time was when they dropped the atomic bomb, because he and all the Marines wanted to go in and wipe them out.
Seriously? Wow.
Seriously.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I'm sure there was a lot of animosity.
Well, in the PI in the Philippines, he's telling me all these stories, and I mean, it's you can actually read if you look at the right books. Where in the Philippines, the cut-off Japanese soldiers actually resorted to cannibalism, and they were eating American soldiers and Filipino civilians.
Wow.
And he said they captured some of these guys, interrogated them, and then once they got the information, they threw them over the side, and the Marines just machine gunned them.
Wow.
It wasn't a pretty war.
No.
But yeah, and then this guy he went on to serve in Korea, and then he was also in Vietnam on the patrol boats in the river deltas.
Wow. How many years
But
was
when
he
I
in?
first met him, he was a crazy guy. He was pretty cool. He just died 2 years ago. He was 90, and
Wow.
Well, when I first met him, he was living across the hallway from me at the hotel I was staying at. And I ran into him, after seeing him a few times. There's this really old guy with tattoos, but he walked like a sailor. And I was walking out.
What's walking like a sailor? What does that mean?
You know that stride, you got your sea legs, and you sort of got that. I don't know how to describe it.
Okay,
but
interesting.
you could kind of tell by the way he carried himself, right?
Really?
So
All right.
he's walking toward the Korean grocery store I was leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a couple of bottles of wine, and he goes, "Hey, how's it going?" And I said, "I'm doing fine." He goes, "Hey, they got any wine left?" And I was like, I think I got the last 5. I was, "Oh, shucks, I was going to buy, well, you want to have a drink with me?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." And I said, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" He goes, "Sure, ask me anything you want." And I said, "Were you ever in the Navy?" And he goes, "Yeah, I was a BM-3. "Oh, yeah, I was a BM-3. And he goes, "How long were you in?" And I said, 4 years. And I go, "How long were you in?" 30.
Wow. That's a lifer.
Really? And I said, "Oh, my gosh, we got so much in common." And then he said, and I quote, he said, "Yeah, but you can't sum up your life in 2 sentences like I can." I said, "How do you sum up your life?" He goes, 3 wars and 1,000 horrors, baby."
I guess that sums it up.
Mark was an interesting guy. That was his last name, actually.
Mark was his last name?
Yeah, Tony Mark.
Perfect. That's perfect that you call him by his last name.
And then he gets out of the Navy in like 1973, I think. Goes back to high school in Connecticut, and they kicked him out of town because he was messing around with the high school girls.
Seriously?
They went
At 50?
Yeah. Well, not 50. He was more like maybe, I think, 36 or 37.
Okay.
Something like that.
Wait a minute. You know what I just realized? We're way off subject.
Mm-hmm.
You were telling me about Amelia Earhart.
Yeah.
And the ghosts.
Yeah, hold on a second. I got a waitress trying to confiscate my French fries.
Oh, don't let her do that.
And,
Hang on to those.
no, I did.
Hang on to those
She's
fries.
cool. She's getting a tip.
What?
Well, I've got
She's getting a
picture
tip?
after the interview.
Oh.
But, okay, so Amelia Earhart supposedly was here, so...
And it's
I go
in a haunted jail.
Yeah. Well, so this Japanese jail, it's right off the main road, right? And you go into this little subdivision, and there's 3 buildings of which they're in ruins right now. There's cool, like, Japanese era ruins all over the island. It's pretty interesting and
really
spooky.
Are they? What kind of ruins are these? Are these like institutional buildings from the 40s that are sort of crumbling?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Old, and then also a bunch of old, like, military fortifications.
Oh, all right.
Like gun emplacements and whatnot. Some of them still have the cannons in them. It's pretty sweet.
Are they open to the public?
Oh, yeah, you can go all over the place. It's nobody really, you can go all over the place. Tinian's got better ruins because there's less people there, and it's all sort of just been, like, left to decay.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And then there's a couple of Sherman tanks just half submerged in the lagoon you can go swim up to, and if you're brave enough and and you don't mind, I wouldn't do it, but
you can get inside it?
Go sit and, yeah, you can get inside it. There's nothing really in it except jagged metal and coral and fish.
Right. Sure. Okay, so you're in Amelia Earhart's prison.
Mm-hmm. So I'm in there, and all of a sudden, well, there's 3 buildings. One's completely, like, was the mess hall. One is this long cell block, and then the other one's this little smaller cell block with, like, 3 jail cells. So I go into the 3rd jail cell block, where Amelia Earhart supposedly was, and all of a sudden it got really cold in there. Now, the average temperature here is, like, around 87. But I was freezing. I was like, just, ooh. And I heard this, like, muttering, like this weeping of, like, sound like a child in pain.
Really?
And I just went, ooh, yeah. I just got this really bad feeling. So I just had to get the heck out of there, right?
Wow.
So I'm walking out, and my wife is sitting there outside, kind of just smoking a cigarette, and she's from China, so she's got a really thick accent, and then she was like, sometimes uses Chinese words, so she goes, Davey, you look like you see Gui. Gui is Chinese for ghost, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to light a little cigar, and I can't light it, and I'm like shaking.
Wow.
These 4 little girls from across the street, because there's houses. This is like in a subdivision.
What?
These 4 little girls.
The prison isn't a subdivision?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I wish I had one in mind.
These 4 little girls come out. Yeah, well, it's just like these abandoned buildings, and there's like a wooden sign for the tourists that says "Old Japanese Jail," and then it's also written in Japanese.
That's all it says?
A lot of Japanese tourists.
How do they know Amelia Earhart was in there?
Because you do some research, and also what's really awesome is there's like an episode of In Search of from like 1977 about Amelia Earhart, or was it 76, where they filmed at this particular building.
Whoa!
What's really cool is, what's really awesome is the way Leonard Nimoy like just murders the local Chamorro names. Like he like Saipanese farmer Anthony Pangilinan said he saw and. It's actually Pangolinan, but
okay.
Spock can't pronounce. He can't be bothered. He doesn't get paid enough to say it right.
All right, sure.
Yeah. So you could actually see pictures of this if you go on YouTube and you look up In Search of Amelia Earhart. They actually have pictures of this where I was at. So I walk out, and these 4 little girls. One was like maybe 6 years old, 8 years old, 10, and 12. It was like little Russian dolls nested in age,
Wow.
And they come out and they go, "Did you see her too?" I'm like, "What?" "Yeah, we play with this little girl that lives in there all the time."
Wow.
And I'm like, ah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, Yeah, so it's there's ghost stories, and then
And that's on Saipan?
as I said, yeah, it's right here. It's in fact that particular jail is maybe about a half mile north of me.
Wow, you should go in there with a Ouija board.
No, I don't do that kind of thing.
No, you don't do that kind of thing?
Nah, I don't F with Ouija boards.
Oh, I see. What? How would you talk to this
that's-
ghost? That's what?
Well, what I usually do is I would go in there with some tobacco, make an offering, and tell the spirits, hey, I'm just visiting, and I don't mean to bother anybody, and please forgive me if I disturb you, and please don't follow me home.
Oh, okay. And why not a Ouija board?
Well, it's like this. My friend Doc Martin, the Lakota Sioux medicine man who I did sweat lodges with for many years, said it's not a good idea because if you you don't know who you're calling sometimes.
Okay, sure.
And it's kind of like if you dial the wrong number and you get Jack the Ripper.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, I know a guy who got possessed on this island by doing that.
Seriously? What happened to him?
Yeah, they were up at Suicide Cliff, and they were playing around with that kind of thing. And my friend Rob, he's Hallie's white guy like me, and they were with a couple of the local guys, and one of the locals got all of a sudden started speaking Japanese.
Whoa.
And attacked my friend Rob, was trying to kill him, like trying to strangle him, just out of the blue.
Wow.
They were messing around with a Ouija board. They were like in high school.
Wow.
And they had to take him to a Cirahano, which is like the local witch doctors. They still have them here. I mean, when I say island, this is not like Gilligan's Island. It's more like a mini version of Honolulu with a lot of tourists.
Okay.
But most of the tourists here are from China and Korea now. We used to have a lot of Japanese tourists, and sometimes we get a lot of Russians in too, depending on the season. But yeah, so they had to take them, and they had to do sort of a cleansing, and but the guy didn't speak Japanese, but when he was like in that mode, he was speaking Japanese.
Wow. So they took him to the
Yeah.
Cirahana.
Mm-hmm. I think that's how they pronounce it. I think Cirahano, I think, is what they call the local Chamorro. They're not that many around anymore.
Oh, they're not. There's no family trade that sons and daughters go into?
Not that I really know of. I mean, I'm not too familiar. I mean, I know it depends on who you talk to.
Mm.
Some families are like that, mostly Catholic around here, but yeah. But a lot of the folk religion kind of also comes from the Philippines. You got a lot of Filipinos here too.
Okay, sure, yeah, of course.
In fact, there's parts of Saipan where if you were conked over the head in Milwaukee and somebody like flew you over here and you woke up like Patrick McGowan at the beginning of The Prisoner in some of these neighborhoods, you'd think you were in a Longapo.
Oh, really? Okay, well, describe a Longapo for the listeners.
Oh, kind of like Mexico, except tropical. Very like shabby,
A lot of corrugated tin structures.
A lot of corrugated tin and cinder block architecture.
Yeah.
A lot of houses that were supposed to have a second floor but don't because they ran out of money.
Mm-hmm.
So you got like a really nice first floor.
Okay.
But then you got rebar sticking out of the roof with a stairway that goes nowhere.
Okay, now you're describing rich people. You're talking about Saipan, not a Longapo.
Yeah. But,
right.
Okay, I guess you'd say it's like the richer part of Longapo.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, and yeah, it's kind of like that. And then, as I said, it's like I'd say about a third, maybe a quarter of the people here are from the Philippines. So you got people talking Tagalog all over the place.
Hey, Rad.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your journey from evangelical Christianism to sweat lodges.
Okay. Well, they say there's no atheists in foxholes.
That's true. They
So
do say
when
that.
I was on the ship, I needed something to kind of, I guess, guide me through. And I never stopped believing in Jesus Christ. Don't get me wrong. I still think God is God. And so I got into like the Bible study and stuff, and you had a lot to do with that too, because you were very religious. I remember.
I was all religious. That's true.
You were annoyingly religious.
Yeah,
You
I know.
were my
I'm
best
sorry.
friend, so it's okay. I forgive you. But so we were doing that. I was doing the church thing, and then in Long Beach we hooked up with a pretty nice group of people at this church. I had this. I moved out in town after I had my accident on the ship, and then I was ashore for a while. So I moved into an apartment with this guy who was a missionary, John, and he's the type of guy that he couldn't see the beauty of God in a rose garden unless the rose garden spelled out "I love Jesus."
Yeah. One of those guys.
And he had this, but he was a good guy. He still is, I'm sure. I think he lives in Ohio now. But yeah, so I was doing that, and then I get back to Michigan, and I start going to this church in Detroit, and it was kind of like half studying the Bible and half bashing Catholics.
And half bashing?
And,
wait, half studying the Bible?
Half bashing Catholics.
Right, bashing Catholics. Got it. All right.
Saying, Catholics aren't Christian, and I'd be like, well, excuse me, Pastor, but what was that big crucifix of Jesus we used to pray to when we were in Catholic churches when I was a kid?
Yeah.
Anyways, long story, and then they were trying to pressure me into getting baptized the second time, as if the first time wasn't good enough.
Oh, right.
And then and my life was sucking in because my biggest problem with the Christian religion, as I see it, personally, was every problem I had. I wasn't having a relationship with any women. I was not happy with my employment. I was, one thing after another. A lot of stuff that basically needed my action to change it.
Oh, right.
Taking responsibility for it.
Yeah.
But every time, it was like, but the pastors, well, give it to God, give it to the Lord, pray about it.
I hate that,
and
man.
It was sort of like,
you know what? That ruined my life. That philosophy ruined my life. You need to take action.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So then I had like really bad series of just luck. And
wait, you had a what?
I had a bad series of luck. Let's just say
you had. Is your phone actually inside your mouth right now? Please repeat that.
No.
Oh, okay. You had a bad series of luck?
You just gotta remember, I'm like 7,000 miles away from you right now.
No, that's no excuse. That's a bad excuse. You're actually calling from the future. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, it is. It's 1 o'clock ish Wednesday afternoon here.
Okay.
Now.
Okay. So wait, you had a bad string of luck.
I had a bad string. I had a bunch of jobs that failed. I wasn't happy with just the direction my life was going, and I kind of fell in with a girlfriend who was a Baha'i at the time.
Whoa.
And yeah, a nice girl. We didn't get married.
Oh, I met her.
But yeah, Carla. Yeah, she's a good lady. Well, anyway, so she took me to go see some medicine man guy give a presentation on naturopathic healing.
What? I didn't know that was part of Baha'i.
No, but we were both part Cherokee, and we were both interested in stuff. And
Okay.
long story short, we went to this presentation, and the guy had this naturopathic clinic in Redford, Michigan, which is close to where I lived at the time.
What kind of clinic? A masopathic?
A naturopathic,
Naturopathic.
like herbs,
Okay,
herbs
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, the guy he was also a medicine man. He was trained on I think it was the Rose. What's the other? The Pine Reservation up there in Dakotas. And
Which reservation?
I think the Pine Ridge Reservation
Okay.
That's basically where Custer's last stand happened.
Oh, wow.
And he invited me because I was like, oh man, I'm having a lot of trouble. And he goes, yeah man, you should come to an nbsp ceremony, sweat lodge, and you get your center. And so I went, and my first experience it was a trip. Like I was like, I felt somebody had died, right, in my family. And
wait a minute, I don't understand.
like,
Wait, why? What made you think that?
I just had a feeling. And
Okay.
And so I'm like, well, this is going to get kind of complicated and weird, but that's me.
Okay.
So I'm there, and the way the sweat lodge works is you start out, you help chop the firewood, and you help get everything set up, and they put these stones into the fires, and they let them get hot, cherry red hot over a period of hours.
While you're in there.
And there's no. This is like before you go in.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And,
right.
And there's basically a tent-like structure made out of saplings of birch trees, and covered with in this case it was covered with old sheets and blankets and stuff, because I guess buffalo skins are hard to get a hold of nowadays.
Yeah, I suppose.
But so we had that. There were a whole bunch of guys. There was an interesting mix of people there. You had some New Age white guys. We actually had a couple of actual Indians there, and me being part Cherokee, I guess I was a half breed. And well, anyways, we were there, and we go in, and the way you do it, normally you'd go in clockwise, but because the guy was a Hyoka, which is sort of they do everything opposite. They're like the clown prince of medicine men, and that's a whole other story.
Really? Hyoka?
Went in, yeah. Hyoka man, yeah. You just have to look it up. But Hyoka just basically means a guy who does everything in reverse. Like in the Indian actually in the Sioux tradition, like if you're kind of like a troubled kid,
yeah.
Instead of punishing you, they kind of like said, "Oh well, let's exploit the weirdness," kind of thing. And
I love that. We need more of that.
Yeah, and so the
you can do it.
Go into so you go into the sweat lodge, and it's about 20 feet around and about 5 feet high dome.
Oh, really?
And no.
So you got to stoop.
Eat it later.
Yeah.
Sorry, the waitress is trying to steal my French fries.
Again?
Anyways.
And you're gonna tip her? This waitress is trouble,
Hey,
Rad.
I'm a regular.
Oh, okay.
No, but she filled my iced tea, so I'm happy. But anyway, so
okay.
So you go in there, and there's 4 rounds of prayer. Okay. The first round, they bring in the first set of stones, and I think this one there was 42 stones. And
nice.
So they brought in, I think, seven stones the first time.
Okay.
And you sing the songs. I can't remember the words, but it's sort of like you kind of sing the welcoming song to the spirits. You call to the 4 directions, and you ask for a good lodge, and you ask for guidance.
Okay.
And then they pour water on the stones, and this thing is completely pitch black inside. And the only thing you can see are the glowing red embers of these stones. And they usually throw some cedar bark and a couple other little things on there, some sweet grass. And you're praying. And so they throw water on the rocks. It steams up. It gets like super hot in there. And then they open the flaps, and then you kind of like get a break, but you're still in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second round of prayer, you say what your intentions are in that lodge. So the first thing, so it was my turn, right? And I was like, well, first I want to know, did somebody die? Because I feel like somebody close to me, like my father, who I'd never met at the time, had passed away. And then my second question is, what should I do?
Well, that's pretty vague. That is really vague.
Because I was like, my life is basically, I said, my life is crap. I'm unhappy, blah, blah, blah. So what the heck should I do?
Yeah, good call.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then they throw more stones on the fire. They throw more stones in the center, throw more water, and by this time it's maybe about 130, 140 degrees. It's Persian Gulf hot in there. And we're like, doing this drumming and stuff, and like I'm seeing like my dead grandpa and like snakes
and snakes.
Yeah.
You're having visions.
I'm seeing like my dead grandfather. I'm seeing like snakes. I actually drew a picture of it. I'll email it to you.
Oh yeah, you should definitely email like tonight if you can.
Or go on my Facebook page and look on my art stuff that I've drawn. Anyways, there was a shape-shifting spotted horse.
Cool.
And a coyote named Clyde who showed up.
How do you know his name was Clyde?
Because he told me.
Wow. How long did it take for all this to happen? This is amazing. Where can I do this?
I don't know. You got to find yourself a Lakota medicine. Man, actually, the guy you could look up. I'll send you. He's got a website, I think, and he runs a clinic out of Lansing, Michigan now. By the way, the guy had been like struck by lightning like twice, and both times healed himself. But anyway, that's another story. Interesting fellow.
What's his name?
Doc Martin.
Doc Martin?
Dr. William Martin. Doc Martin. But anyways, interesting guy. So we're like doing the hiya, drumming, and then they open the thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like totally blown away. And then somebody looks out the flap, and they see this guy with glasses and a red hooded sweatshirt that says Alabama on it.
All right.
And then people said they saw him.
And this is before you even saw him. Other people had seen him.
I didn't see him.
You didn't see it?
I didn't see it, but other people saw it. Now here's the crazy thing. Like a year later, I find my biological father.
Yeah.
And my brother Shane, who had died the day of my first sweat lodge.
Wow.
Was a guy. He had Down syndrome, and he wore glasses, and he always wore a red Alabama sweatshirt. Anyway, so the third, so in between, the doc is like going, Dave, your brother's dead.
Wow, he knew.
Never met him, but he's your brother passed on. Don't worry, he's here to say hello to. He's here because he's always been watching over you.
He's been watching over.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, cool.
He was hanging out at the lodge the entire time I was there because he had died that day.
Hey.
And as I said, I didn't even know it, but I felt something that day. And then I said, well, what about my other question? What do I do? And Doc just says, make a move, brother.
Wow.
Make a move.
Of course. You need to just do something.
What does that mean? He goes, what does that mean? He goes, you're going to find out. You got to make a move. That's all the spirits are saying. Just you've got to make a move.
Wow.
So then the third round comes in. They bring in the pipe. Now the pipe, we smoke tobacco. It's I always get like annoyed by these people that think that it's pot or anything like that, because that's kind of insulting. But hey, I'm not a politically correct guy, so people want to be stupid. That's their
Okay, got it. It's tobacco. Gotcha. Are you still with us?
aspirin.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anyway, so we smoke the pipe, and basically you breathe in the smoke, and then when you exhale the smoke, that's your prayer going up to the spirit world. They pour in some more like water on the more stones, do the haya songs and stuff like that. I'm seeing my grandpa in there. I'm seeing like frogs and bats. I mean, just like all these different animals, and Clyde the coyotes there, and anyways.
Wow,
And those were kind of like my spirit animals. Was like the shape-shifting horse and Clyde the coyote.
That's awesome. Do you talk to them periodically to this day?
Once in a while I feel that they're around. But, it's kind of like they come in. Now it gets even weirder, because one of my, I guess, guardian angels was Buddy Holly. And I'll get into this later.
No, what? Stop. Come on. No way.
No,
okay, I'm turning up the incidental music. I guess I don't have any.
I am not lying. I'm not lying. I mean, you can think I'm nuts or if you want.
Okay, I don't. But I think that is, but first of all, I think it's really amazing. Second of all, I think it's a little bit unlikely, or maybe even the odds are against that happening. But tell me more.
I'll tell you more. So then we do the fourth round of prayer, and I mean, it is super hot in there. I feel like I'm going to die. I mean, it's just crazy. I'm seeing my Grandpa Duke there again, and
wow.
Anyway, so I come out, and it's like one of those. It's nighttime now, and it's cold. But like we go out, we're all naked except for I'm like wearing a pair of swim trunks, because there was women in the lodge too. It's like normally if it's all men, it's got to be all you're naked. But
okay, sure.
There was a cup. So I'm there, and there's like steam coming off our bodies, and it smells like.
Hey, Red, cut.
Like,
you got to cut to the chase. We're about to end.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're in there, and then on the way home, my car breaks down.
Yeah.
And I had to change my tire.
Okay.
And all I heard was make a move, because I'm sitting there going, I could pray that a tow truck comes, or I could change my tire. And then after that, I started to just taking responsibility for my life and doing different things to try to make my life better. And that was where Christianity failed me, but the Indians kind of succeeded in basically telling me to get off my duff and do something about it.
And that's how you became a man. Okay, Red, I'm going to... Yeah, by the way?
In a way.
In a way. That was the beginning. I want to hear more. Next time you're on, we'll start with this story. But I have to say, right now, we will be on at this time next week on WXRWLP 104.1 FM Milwaukee. To hear past episodes, visit riverwestradio.com/shows and click Image for Hire. Okay, Rad, we have about a minute for you to continue with whatever you have to say to the rest of the Milwaukee audience.
Well, all I got to say is, the one thing, too, that the medicine man says that no preacher ever said was, don't believe a word I say, test it for yourself.
Oh, excellent advice. All right, and that's it.
That's what I like about it.
We're signing off.
God bless all of you, man.